Pocono Porker, thanks for forwarding me the Jehovah's Witness propaganda that's out there, new stuff. Especially, I don't know, faith something. I didn't catch the title of the. I didn't catch the title of. Excuse the mic. I didn't catch the title of um, the videos they're pumping out, but it's pretty funny if you just to a newcomer or to a new viewer, it's very deceptive. But to a person like me that used to belong to that institution, if you look between the details. For example, I'll give you a good one. Is the black guy that comes in the very first video? Notice the institution. What does he say? It helps people into perfection. They're supposed to be in the business of Jehovah or Jesus Christ, but never does he mention Jesus or Jehovah. All credit is to the institution. And it's funny how I don't know how people can work to their perfection. That's inconceivable. It's like a person holding his breath underwater, or surviving underwater without oxygen. Anyway. And then on the second video, it's funny where they reenact about a guy named George Storrs that used to be a Methodist preacher or something like that, to where he's fixated on Ezekiel 18:4, to where God says that soul that sins shall die. It's pretty funny, and I know for a fact the New World Translation was not in print back then, so he was fixated on that, but he had to be using King James. I don't think NIV was then available, but in King James, people are described throughout the Bible in the King James as souls. So if you look that up in the Hebrew concordance Nephis, which is it's a life breath, or a breath of life that's given from Jehovah himself to Adam, then he became a living soul. That's what it is. The question that really struck me as a Jehovah's Witness was, if God cannot die, cannot be killed, cannot be created, he imparts something from himself to a person, and that person becomes a living soul. Well, there is that even in the Nephis, which is the immaterial part of God that enters into us. Does that die? You see, the Watchtower Institution teaches that dies based on Ecclesiastes 9:5, but in Ecclesiastes 12:7 it says the contrary. Actually, that spirit departs and goes back to who gave it. That's the key we're talking about. So upon a person's death, there is a separation that happens. Actually, Jehovah's Witnesses that come to my house now to discuss the Bible, they agree there is a separation that happens upon death. That's what we're talking about. So the part that imparts to us from God himself, that part does not die because it's part of God. So if that dies, then God dies himself. So that's the one they cannot answer. Another thing that I wanted to also discuss is the George Storrs that kicked off, I guess he was the motivator for Russell himself. He was fixated on one verse, but if you look out throughout the Bible, also it says the contrary. I mean, souls are also visible in the book of Revelation. I don't know how that works, but it's not well thought of, and I think the most amateur way of researching the Bible is to grab on one verse and run home with it. So, and anyway, thanks for the vids, but